situation who can even be a bridge to get us to the other side. But I think when we get to the other side, it'll be the other side of realness.
I think Joe Biden has a chance to be LBJ.
Next LBJ.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I don't believe you can be a Democrat and be a Christian at the same time. I just don't believe it.
That's why you better be independent. You can't be a Republican and a Christian at the same time either. Just ask the evangelicals.
What up, everybody? What's going on? It's Friday, so you know what that means. And I got a jacket on, so that means a little something. Hey, we got a show tonight. It's TFG tonight, and it's time to talk a little politics, but we're going to change it up just a little bit. We're going to slow it down. Y'all hear me harping all the time about our community, right? So I want to talk a little bit about our community tonight. Me and I have a couple of guests that are going to come on as well in just a minute. But we're going to talk about our community, particularly the Black family. And it might get a little heated tonight. No, it's not going to get heated like it normally does, but it might get a little heavy is the word. It might get a little heavy. I'm going to be transparent. I think my guests are going to be transparent. One of them, you know him. He's our regular correspondent for the show, Mr. Brendan Haynes. He's coming. And we also have a new guest coming on named LaShonda Jones. She'll be on as well. And if they're ready, let's go ahead and rock and roll and get this party started. Hey, what up?
Hey.
What's going on?
What's up?
Tam is watching. She says she's excited. What's up, Kennard? What's up, Ricky? What up? So tonight we want to dive into something new. We've done a lot of talking about what the white folk doing to us. We've done a lot of that, right?
What's up, Rick?
And every now and again, we discuss a little bit about what's going on in our own communities, but I want to really open it up today and talk about what's going on in our communities. And it starts with what? The Black family. And I think one thing you have to, what do they say? When somebody's an addict, the first thing you have to do is acknowledge that there's a problem. So I acknowledge that I feel like there are a lot of problems. How about you, Brendan? Do you feel like, do you acknowledge? And then I want to ask, what are you going by, LaShonda, or what is that your name? Am I saying it properly?
L tonight.
L? Okay. So L. All right. So L, and we gotta
I'm gonna do B.
All right, B.
BLM.
Yeah, all right.
So either one of you jump in. Do you guys acknowledge that there is a problem within our own community as it relates to Black families? Whoever wants to jump in.
Ladies first.
Okay. I feel like the family dynamic for Black families has been corrupt ever since slavery. I believe that it goes all the way back to men being taken out of the home, men being emasculated. I think that nowadays it's like a badge of honor if you grew up with both of your parents in the home. The dynamic of single parents, that's an issue. I would say in my family, I think we talked a little bit offline about just the Black family, my family in particular, just the issue with secrecy and sweeping everything under the rug, the as quiet as it's kept mentality. I think there's a lot of issues that the Black family deals with. I think that the problem with Black families in relation to other ethnicities is that we don't talk about it. We tend to sweep everything under the rug and hide everything. We just don't talk about the real things that happen behind the scenes when it comes to Black families, in my opinion.
Keep the secrets in the family. What about you, Mr. Haynes? Or B?
Well, right. Yeah, so man, for me, let me tell you, I grew up in a broken home and I live in a home that's intact. So I've seen quite a bit. I've seen what I did not get by not having a father, and I see what my children do get because they have a father. So I can speak from both sides of the situation. So, because I've experienced both sides, so I do believe that there is a problem. I don't like the fact that we kind of blame others for our decision making, because everybody has a struggle, right? White people got struggles, but I don't know if we should blame that type of system for that. It's decision making, right? I'm not the most educated, but I refuse to be the dumbest, right? And so, although my public school area I grew up in, could I have gotten a better education? Sure, I could have. But it was decision making, right? It was about what I wanted to see and what I wanted not to see happen. And so at that point, I think it, it's a conglomerate, right? There's multiple issues that you just have to say to yourself, you have to overcome them. Like we like watching stories on the big screens because they have what plots, climax, and end. So nobody wants to
Yeah.
hear. I mean, so when you see stories, nobody wants to hear a story about somebody who had a silver spoon in their mouth. They never had to struggle. That's a boring movie. I don't think nobody wants to go see that. So for us to not embrace our struggle as though we're watching a film, and then overcoming those issues, I think we're doing ourselves a disservice, or we're 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 embarrassed for something that people pay to go see at the movies.
Interesting. That's an interesting perception. Tam says it's funny how we blame our past for men and women issues, but not black family dynamic issues. I definitely feel like it's black family dynamic issues. We have lots of issues because it's almost always say this: you're bringing two people from two different worlds, two different dynamics of family that they saw, and many times we saw broken family a broken family dynamic, not necessarily seeing very a very functional way of managing a household, and a lot of us, right? So what we saw and what we're trying to bring to the table, we still see that as how things are supposed to go. Mama did this, daddy did that, and we're bringing that to a whole nother person that learned that mamas do this, mama do that, and we're trying to force another person into a crazy ideology that we don't see as crazy just yet until we wake up. And I think that's one of the things that creates a lot of friction, a lot of issues in black households, and that lead to the black men running and tucking tail, which we're going to get to that as well, and now staying in the homes. And I've been a culprit of that. I think most people know I was married for 8 years, been divorced for almost 5 years now, I think, and I was a runner for a long time. And not proud of it, but I was definitely a runner. I'm proud to say I'm in the house with my kids and my family now. But I definitely understand and see. I won't say I understand, but I definitely see how brokenness, as Tam says, definitely leads to a broken family dynamic, and you have black men running out of the house. Anybody want to add anything to that?
I want to say this, man. Like we praise one of the most richest black men we've seen come from stage plays to now making movies in 8 days, right? And if
Uh,
he did not, yeah, man, if he did not have those experiences, he wouldn't have a dollar in his pocket, right? And that's what I wish we would come to understand, that if we focus more on how bad it was and not allowing that bad to make money for us or to make determinations for us, right? Then, then what good is having experience? Like nobody would pay to see Tyler Perry movies if he didn't go through that stuff, right? I mean that's just the
it,
reality in my
I,
book.
and I see what you're saying, but even with those experiences, let's say we embrace them. How do we change the cycle? Yeah, how do we change the cycle of black men leaving the house and
I mean,
not being
black
there and
women
being
are
baby
paid.
daddies?
Black women are paid for black men not to be in the house. I mean, child support is
Woo! Whoa,
something
hold on,
that
moment of silence. I
Wow.
wasn't expecting that,
Wow.
but there's so much
I
truth
mean, it's
to
the
it.
truth. It's
Oh
the
my
truth.
God.
I mean,
Now
the
you
That's a
got to
whole
government
other
you got to
pays
dynamic.
break
for
Keep
that
going.
child
I'm
down. You got
sorry.
to
support.
break that down. Break
I
that down for me.
I mean,
And anybody want to come on, say it in the comments.
child support is something that's been going on way back when. Like women are supported by the government not to have a man in the house. It's praised almost. It's almost as if like, you're better off getting a check every month than going to work. And I'm not saying that that's how I was raised, or for those that need those resources, I don't knock that. But the truth is that, I mean, There's some women that get paid more money off child support than going to go clock and have a 9 to 5. So not having a man in the home, sorry if I'm offending anyone, not having a man in the
Woo!
home, I
I can
mean,
guarantee you doing
Tight,
that
but
one.
it's right.
unfortunately, it's a harsh reality. Like, I mean,
Oh.
I it's a touchy subject. It's a very touchy subject, and I hate to go
So,
there,
so,
but it's. I mean,
so there's a my
black
is
men
that
not being in the home. I
hers?
mean, women are being they profit off of that. The government wants that. Not only for what it does to the black family dynamic. I mean, if anything, you break a black family, like we can continue to be inferior to other races. You know, you don't have a man that teaches a boy how to be a man. You don't have a man in the house that, you can learn from. Like, I mean, and if you're paid to do so, how can we come back from that?
So you talking about when you gotta hide it when the social worker come over so you won't lose your housing because he ain't supposed to be living
Absolutely.
there.
Absolutely.
Them situations. Brittany
So let
said
me ask a
feminism
question.
comes after. Oh, go ahead,
Let
man.
me ask a question. Yeah, so I don't hear a lot of women speak in that perspective, like you're saying. But what do you think about feminism then, as it relates
Oh my
to?
goodness.
Well, because this is listen, it's about the women empowerment. Now listen, I'm not all about the divisive conversation, but I'm interested to hear from someone because you're not the majority in this moment, right? So I mean, so what is your position about feminism? I would like to know that.
I don't believe I can teach a boy how to be a man. I know that there are women out there that can do that, but I feel like, there is a certain viewpoint, a certain perspective that a black woman cannot teach a black man, the same way that a black woman cannot make a black man relate to the problems and the things that she goes through on a daily basis. It's two different perspectives. We can tell you all day what it's like to be a black woman in America, but I can surmise what it's like to be a black man. But if I have a son, I think it's important to have a father around. I mean,
Right.
I
So
can pay bills, I can go to work, I can provide you with all your needs, but there's always going to be a void that a black woman just can't fill. I can't
right,
be a
I agree.
father.
And listen, I'm 100% in agreement with you because I agree with your position. So why is it then I mean, you're a woman, of course. So why is it in your perspective do women get so? Is it because of their personal experiences with certain men that makes them feel that way? Because they generalize us in that way as though everybody is doing the same things that they experience with their man. So I don't really get the whole fight. Listen, I'll fight them tooth and nail about the position of the man. But at the same time, I can't force them to understand that, right? And so it's interesting to hear from a different perspective that's opposite to what they would actually come on and say is a problem.
I will say that I did grow up with my mother and my father in the home. I didn't come from a perfect household. I'm not going to say that everything was glitter and gold, but I do know that there is a certain presence that is necessary when it comes to knowing about men, how to be treated from a man, knowing how men operate. If that's not something that you saw on a daily basis, or that's not something that you were consistently around, then you saw mama doing it by herself all the time. You saw mama working 2 and 3 jobs. You
Right.
saw mama do it without the presence of a man. And unfortunately, if that's the only perspective that you've seen, you don't know. And I don't fault women that didn't have a father or didn't have a man in their life, but I do believe that if you grew up seeing the woman do it all on her own, then you probably have that same perspective, and that's probably just your reality. But for those that did have a man in the house or did have a father figure around, I would definitely know what it's like to have a void. Like, I wouldn't want to have my child experience not having a father figure around. I think it just depends on your
Interesting.
upbringing and
Yeah.
what you were exposed to.
Yeah.
Brittany, as
Yeah.
men do. Oh, go ahead.
No,
I
no.
was
What you
going to
say?
ask you. as men, are we still able to use the excuse that we didn't have a daddy in the home to validate our not being in the home and not being a father to our kids? Because
I mean, you
that's typically
can.
the excuse. If I didn't have a daddy, the part of the reason I'm a runner is because I didn't have a daddy. A lot of people say that.
You can, but it's weak.
And how long can we do that? Even into our 30s? Yeah,
I,
Listen,
yeah, absolutely.
it
Absolutely, I agree with that for sure.
yeah, it's weak,
Go
and
ahead, Em.
you know, well, you finna say something.
oh, I was just gonna say honestly, I don't think that anybody needs at a certain point in our lives, we can't blame our childhood. I know a lot of people like to use their childhood as a crutch and have that mold and shape what they do as an adult. But there are resources to people that need mentors or some type of guidance. You can go to parenting classes. I think that not having a man in the house, that's an excuse for being a deadbeat.
Yeah, I agree, and I want to say this because this is the truth. I did right, but the thing is, some things you'll see where your issue is that you keep you keep not having success, and so it just some issues compound on each other, right? And so where you feel like you need to overcome the whole childhood thing, but then you don't make good decisions either, right?
Hmm.
And
Right.
that compounds on those issues. I think people who overcome their childhood are people who literally make good decisions as an adult, right?
Hmm.
Marry the right spouse, raise the right, have the right morals, right? Those things help. Look at it. Well, yeah, you come on here, sister. I was waiting for her to come on around here. So I think that if you do those things, that can assist you in your ability to not make that an excuse. But if you let that compound on top of other things, well then you're going to use that as a crutch. And I mean, listen, that crutch can make you a con artist, right? Because at the end of the day, you are who you allow yourself to be. It don't matter. Listen, Harriet Tubman was running down a railroad,
No,
right? But she was successful.
I can't.
Lamar, you froze.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I'm just sitting here
Yeah,
waiting for you
Lamar
to land.
froze. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, okay, I guess he went out. But yeah, see, I know Candace definitely disagrees with you, L. You know what I'm saying?
I don't
And
know what
so,
about though. I saw that. I was like, what exactly are we disagreeing about?
what did you say? Jeremy said, I had a bad childhood. You use that as an example of what
Okay.
not to
Sorry,
do.
I think my internet tripping. I'm my bad. I
Yeah,
like
you
what.
back.
Can y'all hear me now? Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I like what Kinnear said. What Kinnear said is so true. It's so true because sometimes it does have a reverse effect. That it's about my mindset, but sometimes that's just lip service. Because I said that. I said that because my dad was I had a stepdad, but my real dad, him and my mom were high school sweethearts. So they were never in a relationship as adults. And so I always use that. My daddy wasn't here. My daddy wasn't in the house. So I'm gonna make sure that I'm with my kids' mom. And I said that, but I didn't go by. I didn't put it into practice. I ran every chance I got. So all through my 20s, I was running. So a lot of us say it, but don't do it. It feels good to say. Let me look at some more of these comments real quick. We missed some good stuff, I think. Tam said, "Who are these people that can live off child support? I need their number. I have questions for research purposes." Brittany says, "It's impossible unless you're a dude. It's impossible unless a dude is a celebrity." Oh, okay, it's about um, Tam says, "Black women do it all, even with a man in the house." A lot of times I watched that. When I was growing up.
And and Lamar, let me make this
Queen,
let me make this statement right quick.
okay.
I'm gonna say this too. That's even half the problem in the home because even when you've gone through been in a house with a mother and a father, like I'm gonna say it like this: I'd rather you not be there and be a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd rather that to be the case,
Hey,
right? I don't. If you a bad
yeah.
one, It like if the reason why these cats ain't there because they know they bad, then bye. Yeah, stay gone. Right? I'm cool with that because you do more damage being there jacking stuff up than you do not being there. To be honest with you, you
I
know what I'm
agree.
saying? And so at that point, like for me, I had to get over some struggles of how I was doing things because of how I was raised, right? And so something like, bro, it took me a long time to learn how to be affectionate to
Yeah.
my boys. Like I didn't even know that there was an issue because until I started having feelings,
My Wi-Fi
right?
sucking,
And
man.
so once I had those feelings, I was like, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I having an issue with him wanting to be around or do things, and I'm like, but it was because of how I was treated, right? And so I had to again overcome those things, right? To not be that way. So I listen. I know we got a lot of open wounds as Black people,
Mhm.
and we put a lot of band-aids on them. But man, sometimes y'all gotta let that band-aid go and let that thing heal on its own, so that we can become better. Because we can't help the other folks if we're not helping somebody else. What Brittany say? Well, somebody just came up and hugged. Yeah, yeah, right. And listen, on my hip pocket, you know what I'm saying? What you say? Candace say, I understand that, Brenton. I had to learn how to, yes. And I think that's and you know what? And Candace, you just made a great point too. Like, we don't like not knowing. Like, we think that's belittling to us, or we think that that's beneath us if we think that we don't know something. I don't know what they say, deep, right? And it's okay to not know, right?
Mhm.
But what is not okay is if you don't know and then you don't go find out. I
Right.
think that's a bigger problem. Not knowing and then not learning to find out is the issue. So from one man to another, for my boy Kennard, we appreciate the fact that you learned how to do that, right? We appreciate that. Like, I'm pretty sure my kids appreciate the fact that I've grown as a father, right? And I had to because I wasn't one. Have I grown? But yeah, have I grown? Yeah, they're making fun of me. Yeah, so yeah, I just think it's a good idea to just not get caught up in our inabilities, but make that an opportunity not to have a disability, but to do better in that disability. I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I think all of us have things that we deal with from our past. Every single last one of us do. Whether you had a mother and a father in the home or you grew up in a single parent home. I mean, I can attest to having both of my parents in the house, and I still have some things that happen behind closed doors that most people probably wouldn't, think about, or maybe they have experienced or whatever. But
Mhm.
I mean, I just think it gets to a certain point to where you have to acknowledge, the areas of opportunity. And I mean, life is a journey. Like, we're constantly growing, we're constantly evolving. Like, wounds take time to heal. I just think that some people get in this cycle of constantly reverting back to what happened when I was 12, what happened when I was 10. And it's like you have so much more of your adult life to live than what you had when you were growing up. Hey, Lamar, are you back?
Hey, I get to come back. My Wi-Fi is like tripping. I have to get on my phone.
No, that's Lamb Mashawn now, right? Because you're on the side.
Yeah, so this is a whole different person now.
He's
Okay.
just a regular Eddie Murphy, just
Yeah.
multiple personalities.
Where we at? What I miss?
So I was just saying about and put that Brittany, put that comment back up from town, because basically we were just talking about our inabilities to own our inadequacies. So like Tam was saying, blacks don't know they need help sometimes. We've been conditioned to be strong from slavery, so we are often afraid or don't even know when we need to get help
Oh, that's
or
good.
ask for help. And I think that's good. And the thing is, sometimes Tam, even to that place, right, you don't know what you don't know.
And then
That's
we
a
don't like
problem.
looking weak as well. That's another thing. I think black men and black women, we don't like to look weak. We don't like to appear weak, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's only weak when you don't do better, right?
Yeah.
It's bad to know better and don't do better. That's when it's bad.
Uh-oh, L, what you got?
I mean, I also feel like a problem that the black family or just the black community has in general is that we don't think that mental health
Is
is
in,
just as important as our physical health. We
right.
think that everything is still with a hope and a prayer, and we won't go, see if we can, am I bipolar? Am I suffering from depression?
Yeah.
Am I schizophrenic? We
You know
won't
what?
go get any medical attention.
That is so true. And me and Tam did a show with some people. Not to call them out. They probably watch it. Sorry, guys, but I have to. I try to speak as transparent as I can. But we asked the question to this couple whether or not they believed in marriage counseling.
Mm-hmm.
And I made the statement that I don't believe in only getting marriage counseling from a pastor that's not a therapist or a licensed therapist. And they were like, "What? He is your therapist?" I'm like, "Well, no, he's not. If he's not truly a therapist,
Mm-hmm.
he's going to give you great spiritual advice. But as it relates to when I look at marriage counseling, I look at all the stuff I talked about at the top of the show. All the baggage I'm pulling from my childhood, all the baggage you pulling, whether you were abused, you were neglected, all this different stuff that we deal with. I want somebody that can help me unpack that and help my partner understand how to help me cope with and overcome these things as a team versus just telling me, all right, God, I got you. Just pray. You good. I think that sets a lot of Black folks up for failure because a lot of us believe that because Black folks are conservative by nature when it comes to that stuff. Most of us are, even though most of us are Democrats, not me. But we're conservative by nature. See how I throw my stuff in there? So we take that and we run with it, and that to me is a cop-out. It's a cop-out to not get true help and healing with your issues.
Yep, I agree. I think one of the best things I've learned is growth is always a possibility when it comes to being somewhere that being who you are today and not who you were in the past. And when you don't embrace that, then you'll never grow, right? And let me see this, Deacon. So this is what I get to look at right now, right?
Right.
Right, and that's in a nutshell where I am today, right? That's going to be somebody's husband. That's going to be somebody's daddy, and I don't want to be a stumbling block now, just because I struggle, right? That's selfish of me, and I think that's a lot of our problems, man. We so selfish. We have so much opportunity now, right? That we can make money and we can go get 2 or 3 jobs. That we're so selfish, we forget that they still back there, right? And we leave them, and we don't be there because why? Because now we can go get that nice car, or now we can go get enough money so we can go on all the vacations. But what good does that do when you get home and then nobody want to be around you,
Exactly.
right? Right. You
We
see
have
me
some
doing
good
it, Jaquita? Yeah.
we have some good comments in here, y'all. Let me see. Tam said the first step is denial. Second is admitting there's a problem. Then we have to call it out and stop saying, "Oh, that's just so and so. That's just Charlene." Man, we got to stop doing that, and we do that so much. We just accept somebody as a failure, as a broken, crazy person. We just say, "Oh, it's just such and such," and we don't do anything other than that. And I think we definitely have to stop that. Charles says, "Amen. We were taught not to show emotion." That's definitely true for a lot of Black men, for sure. Almost to the point to where you feel like you're a punk if you show emotion. And you know what? Me and Tam been watching this show called Love. Was it Married at First Sight? And I don't know if y'all watching it, but this is beautiful Black girl on there, and she's marrying this Black guy, and somehow he accidentally texts one of her bridesmaids, so they realized who he was before she saw him, right? So she searched all over his Instagram, and she almost backed out of it, not because it's a stupid show of marrying somebody you ain't never met or don't know. She almost backed out because she found out too much about him, that he's too emotional. He cried. I see him crying on a couple of things. He's talking too emotional, too sensitive. I'm just like, what? That's the problem? That's the issue?
Well,
Like,
now listen, do we got a balance with that, man? Because listen, I listen. I can't have everybody being scared when the hell's hitting the wall and the thunders. We all can't be doing all that, right? We gotta have a
I think
balance.
it's definitely balance. What do you
Balance.
think,
That's
Elle?
a good word. You got to have some balance.
Yeah, definitely. Because I don't see myself. I have both. I feel like I have both. I ain't scary. However, I'm not afraid to show my emotion. However, I used to be. There was a time when I wasn't gonna show no emotion or show any weakness. But now I don't give a crap. It is what it is. If I feel a certain way, I feel that way. I don't care how it make me look. It is what it is. So yeah, I had to grow out of that, and it took a long time to grow out of that.
Yeah, you got to be okay in your skin, man. You got to be okay in your skin. You got to be able to show your scars, right? You got to be able to show your bruises. And you can't be afraid of that. And so once you embrace, I think we talked about this all the time in the group, right? Where we talked about transparency is a strength, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
And if you're not willing to be transparent, then you're afraid of who you are.
yeah,
And I think that's a problem. Like, you find strength in transparency. Yeah, I see that, dude. And so, in that moment, when you show other people that it's nothing wrong with you being, what's up, Hannah? When you show people there's nothing wrong with you showing them who you are, as long as they deserve it, right? Everybody don't deserve to know who you are, right? But
hmm,
as long as they've earned the right to say, hey, man, I'll teach you what I know and I'll be transparent with you. Well, then at that moment, they find security in knowing that failure is not final and success is not sustainable. So it
right.
just
Right on.
that's the balance, right? And so at that moment, I think that's just something we as a culture need to enrich ourselves more with that, man, because our kids are fighting hard enough trying to compete and compare. Don't worry,
Absolutely.
don't worry
Yeah,
about that. Don't worry about that. Nah,
absolutely.
man.
And they're watching
Nah.
us. They're watching,
Yes.
learning from watching us, and we set an example. And a lot of us have shown horrible examples in our kids' lives, and then we trip out and try to figure out why they having to run over to Jill's house and pull their son off of his wife, or vice versa, and take up for him too. Hold on, Paul. What's up, Paul? Paul said, I think they're shying away from getting mental health care as a whole society weakness. Look at the suicide stats, and it's pretty even across the races. Yep, I agree with that as well. So if we circle this back, what do we do? What can we do to strengthen the black family, particularly because it's going to be black folks? And what do we do to strengthen the black family, keep black fathers in the house? What are some things we can do? Even in the comments, if you guys want to throw out ideas, or is there anything we can do?
I was just gonna say the only thing you can't make nobody do anything. All you can do is be a consistent example, right? I learned a few things from Bill Cosby. I mean, Cliff Huxtable, not Bill. I
Okay.
learned nothing from Bill. Sorry, Cliff Huxtable. I learned. Let me clarify that right quick.
Oh
Not Big Daddy Bill. I learned something from Cliff Huxtable,
Good stuff,
right?
Brittany.
I've learned things from that. And I think we just somebody got to listen. If somebody got to see me every time they see my baby boy come up here, and I kiss him on the head, fine. Make somebody say, "Oh, that ain't that bad. That's cool."
Yeah,
Right? Just consistency.
yeah,
Yeah, man. So I think we can't make nobody do nothing, right? So
yeah.
I think just letting them see that what right how we learn from watching movies,
Hmm.
right? And that's how we learn how to cut up, love and basketball, love Jones, all that stuff. That we learn stuff from them, right? So I think it's just being that eye gate to
Yeah.
say, oh, that don't look bad, right? And so that's my opinion.
Yeah, what you got?
I would say, although we learned a lot of stuff from the movies, I think that we also need to be real and realize that movies are just what they are, movies. A lot of times we look at, you know, the Brady Bunch, the
Hmm.
Cosbys, Family Matters, and we have this false perception of what families truly are. And I think a lot of times when we see those television shows, we begin to compare and feel like we're different or that there's something wrong. And the truth is that all families have some form of dysfunction. And I think that the problem is that a lot of times we don't want to talk about that dysfunction. So we'll act like everything's okay. And
Right.
then we start to play the comparison game. Like, oh, well, such and such's family has a mother and a father in their home, but the father is whooping mom's tail.
Hmm.
Okay. Or such and such doesn't have a father in the home, but such and such is on the a honor roll every month and is
Yeah.
striving and thriving. What's going on? I think that someone commented that we need to start having more open dialogue with each other and just really talking about what works, what doesn't work, what are the areas of opportunity, and just stop having this false facade of what we feel like family should look like. The problem is that we all have areas of opportunity. There are, you know, wounds that all families are dealing with and healing from. I think that the first step is just acknowledging that no family is perfect. And we could probably learn a lot from each other if we decided to be a little bit more transparent, as said before, with each other on what really goes on in our households.
That's it. That's
Man,
good shit.
I'm gonna show y'all something, man. It's so crazy. My son said he want me to show y'all his picture again, right? And I thought it was really silly, but I'm gonna show y'all something, man. You see this? I want y'all to see this. This is what our life may look like every day sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Just crazy, right? It's just throwed off. I'm just looking at just a mess. But
Mm-hmm.
there's one thing that's really clear, and that's this right here. He spelled the word tomorrow.
Good
And
stuff. I
it's,
like it.
Beautiful.
and it doesn't matter, right, what our life looks like today. As
Mm-hmm.
long as you know if that's just clear. If you
Yeah.
get up tomorrow, man, listen, if you get up tomorrow, just know that's clear and you have another opportunity to do right. Get it, do it a different way. Just don't do it. Just don't treat life like insanity.
Right.
Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I don't care what your
Right.
life looks like today, right? If you get up tomorrow, do better tomorore, right?
Absolutely.
That's man, that was really interesting. Thank you,
Yeah, that's
D.
heavy
That
stuff.
was
Thank you,
Let
D.
me
good. That was
let me
good.
let me look at some of these comments. Ashley Bragg says keeping black fathers in the house first starts with teaching sexual health and consequences. You can't just be out there in the streets shagging everyone without protection. Amen.
Facts.
That's another 30 minutes.
You ain't lying.
Yeah.
Amen. Tam said something too. It's a long one. Let me find it. All right. Let me get close so I can see it. Churches are supposed to heal those who believe, but often enable blacks to not want to do the work. We ignore the faith without works part. We have to stop trying to avoid the work with magic. Amen. We have to be patient with one another and come up with a tangible plan to strive for better. Get therapy. Talk out your emotions and be okay with uncomfortable spaces until gradual change becomes habit. Hey, girl, that's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Paul says, do simple things like eat dinner together, go to church, family stuff. Family. You know what I like about I love about my daughter? I love both of my kids equally. My daughter, she demands family time. Sometimes me and Tam will get busy, we get be in our little hole, and Taylor demands it. She's like, okay, we have family time. I mean, she produces our fitness show. I'm not sure if y'all see it, and she said something the other day on the show. She was like, well, this is part of our family time. She sees that as family time, but she's in there with mom and daddy producing our show, talking to us. So it's like the smallest things
Mm-hmm.
really matter. Most people wouldn't think a kid be paying attention to this whole family time. They playing the game, they're on their phones, but they truly want that bond. So I think that's very important, and we got to do it. We got a lot of folks out there that don't take time for that with their kids.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see how a father cannot see or be around his kid for extended periods of time. I can't. It's hard. It's a hard thing to do, and live with yourself at the same time. But some of them do it all day, every day, for years on end. years, years.
Years. Years.
That's funny.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. Um, Chris Bragg says, "Saying, tell me about your day, even if it's just something small." Good stuff. All right, go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
What you got before we wrap up this conversation? One of y'all about to say something?
No,
Okay. So this
good show,
So
man.
this was good. So guys, I know this is a little different pace tonight, but we want to slow it down and really, because y'all hear me, y'all hear Brenton, y'all hear Rick, y'all hear Marcus. We talk a lot about politics, and one of the things I always say, being kind of wayward in my thinking as relates to politics, with the whole Black Lives Matter and all that, I think we have to take. I'm a little harder on us as a people because I'm black, and I'm a black person that came from a family that didn't have a whole lot. We had enough, but we didn't have a whole lot. I didn't go to college and get a degree. My mom didn't go to college, get a degree. My dad did none of that stuff. So because I pulled myself up by my bootstraps, as they say, right? I tend to be a little harder and have higher expectations for people that look like me. So I don't really accept excuses as relates to why we don't do good or great as a whole. A lot of stuff I don't buy into. I do understand there's systematic racism to certain degrees, but I won't allow it to stop me from obtaining what I want in my life and for my family. I refuse to, right? So I think it's great to be able to have this conversation about us. What can we do to be better as a people? What can we do to strengthen Black families? And I think this is a very important piece of it. Just being open and talking about and acknowledging there are issues within the community that ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. We got to look at ourselves sometimes and say, hey, how can we be better? So, y'all want to add anything?
Yeah, I want to say this. I mean, and again, I'm black, right? So I'm not being prejudiced about my own race. Hold on, Kenneth. But I want to say this. I mean, none of us have been in slavery, like none of us. So we, I don't know how much that affects us. I think there are some things that affect us, but again, we ain't I only cotton I pick up is the one I put on my body, right? It's the only cotton I pick, or the Q-tip. So I don't know what that feels like, right? And I think that our grandparents and great grandparents and great great grandparents are more stronger than what we are today, right? They were more oppressed than we are, but their mental stability was better than ours. And so I don't know if that is the end all be all with why people are doing what they're doing. I think the end all be all is people are selfish,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
They
Yeah.
selfish and they don't want to make the right decisions, right? Even if he look good, if he's still at his mama's house, well then you need to leave him there, right? Even if she look good, but okay. I ain't gonna go there because I ain't a woman. I don't want nobody getting mad at me. I'll just speak about the man, right? Just there are enough red flags out there, y'all, that we don't have to make some of these situations don't have to be. I'd rather see you alone and happy than trying to play catch up and hold on to something that you trying to find potential in. Again, we beating a dead horse. I don't know.
I think slavery comes up just for the simple fact that our homes were broken way, way back when,
Hmm.
and if that is something that you were accustomed to seeing, although we're not slaves now, I think that our generations have just been accustomed to, I'll say it for Black women, we have to do everything and more. We have to do things 10 times better than other races. We carry the weight of our show, like the world on our shoulders. Yes, if you're a Black woman and or a woman in general, you're pregnant for 9 months, you have that baby, the man is not, he ain't obligated to stick around. Like, he can come and go as he please. I mean, we go all the way back to Papa Was a Rolling Stone and all these songs about men not being present in the home. That's been happening for generations. I mean, that was all about the structure of how to break a man and how to make him submit, is to make him look weak in front of the Black woman, have him emasculated in front of her. And if you think that slavery doesn't somehow pour into what's going on today, I mean, I think it's all relative. Like, we
Right.
haven't had a strong family dynamic. I mean, our
Right.
grandparents, their grandparents. I mean,
Hmm.
it's been going on for quite some time, and I would think that if we didn't acknowledge that the family was strategically broken back in slavery, we wouldn't be giving ourselves any justice to see why it's currently in the state that it's in now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
eh,
go ahead.
Lamar, I want to say this. This is another issue too. Like everybody has their own definition of what family looks like, what morals look like, right? A lot of us based our morals on Christianity, but it's only on surface, right? Some people base theirs on whatever. You base your morals on some type of belief.
Hmm.
Yeah, you just don't come out of nowhere. You believe something, and so my issue with that is because I don't want to get into everybody's situation because the way I grew up and the way I live now, it's not the same as somebody else. And so some people think that their situation, because of the decisions they made, may be a little bit better than mine's and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? And so that's kind of difficult when you talk to other people because we all don't live this, we all didn't come the same path to where
Right.
we are today. And I'm just saying, like, if it's working for you, cool, but it don't work for everybody, right? And at that point, I can only, like I said, that's why we can't help everybody, because everybody have a different moral. Everybody have a different way to success. And all I'm
Mhm.
saying, just being, if you, whatever you doing, just like Martin Luther King said, be the best street sweeper you can be. And just somebody see you, you know what I'm saying? And just, so I don't want to judge anybody about what whatever you ended up with today. Just keep making good decisions, and don't let that bad stuff compound on each other. So
Yeah.
all I gotta say.
Right on. Paul just said something I want to respond to. He said he recommends a discussion in the future on the impact of '60s legislation on the black family. That's when things really started to change. You know what? And I agree that things did start to change. However, again, I'm just a big proponent of, I understand there's things that our forefathers, if you will, our ancestors and people that came before us went through. But I still think we have to definitely take personal responsibility now, because nobody forced our great grandfathers to treat our great grandmoms like slaves and beat them and have a woman up the street. Nobody forced them to do that. They made decisions on their own to be immoral, all while going to church every Sunday and forcing the whole family to do it, as though you were truly living some type of saved life. It was the way that everybody was doing, and people chose to make immoral decisions. And I think the same is true for now. While we sometimes claim to be moral people, sometimes we're still immoral in certain ways, still doing things that our daddy did or our mama did when we know what's right and we know we're doing wrong. So I get that problem, but we know we personal responsibility too. I think I've done wrong. When I wasn't here for my kids, I knew what I was doing. I knew I was doing wrong. I knew when I was running from a marriage and all that. I made those decisions. We got to change the way we think and change our decision making processes. What's Chris saying? History is history. Nothing anyone can say can change it. We have to acknowledge that history has a lot to do with the structure of black family. If y'all have not done the research on this, please don't speak. Okay.
Well, it's called opinions. Somebody said it like buttholes. Everybody got one.
Sam says great grandfathers were conditioned to fight other blacks for sport. This has layers. This is true. I mean, that's true. I mean, does that contribute to why I feel like black folk compete against each other? Everybody trying to get attention. Hey, see
And
me,
again,
see me.
listen, and nobody's saying that. Listen. Everybody learned from something. Plantation owner, right? Of course, black people saw what they did, right? And they like, well, even in churches, right? That's
Mhm.
why things were such. They were so dogmatic and just oppressive on do it my way, dress like this. Why? Because that's what they saw the master doing.
Yeah,
So yeah, I get what you're saying, but we didn't grow up like that. You know what I'm
right.
saying? But we make decisions. So again, I mean, I don't know what part does she feel like we were speaking on. I'm just saying that all of it has its place. That's like telling somebody who has been done wrong, like they can't recover. Then then you are doomed from the start, right? If stuff happened to you, where's the word determination? Where's the word overcomer? Where do these words come from unless you've seen those things happen? Tell a person who lost their leg that they can't do nothing no more. I mean, I don't understand how do these people overcome their issues,
Mhm.
and we can't. That's just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
Shantae says, my last comment, Marie, we were all placed in competition with one another for generations. That is
That's it.
true. And
Mm-hmm.
we're still in competition with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And to the point to where it's, and I think this contributes to the black household. And Brittany, we're not gonna do no more topics. We're just gonna do this one, and we'll push the other ones to Monday because StreamYard is tripping with us with the noise in the background. So I'm gonna end it in 9 minutes. So I think it contributes to black households. I feel like you have a woman that has been treated like a second class citizen. Talking about black women, has been treated like a second class citizen, right? You have black men who were treated like crap by white men in front of their wives, in front of their kids. So it's almost like we're fighting to say, hey, see me, I'm somebody. I can make money. I can take care of my family. I am somebody as a black man, right? But at the exact same time, while black men are starting to feel themselves and feel a little bit of confidence, black women are like, wait a minute, wait. Me too, right? So then you get this competition in the house of both people trying to be seen and trying to be like, hey, I'm not 3/4 of a person. I'm a person too. I can do same things you can do. So it's got this battle that's created from way back then that we have in the houses now, and it creates so much confusion, so much. And I think it's horrible. What is I said I'm gonna read no more comments, but I am. Y'all can jump in while I'm reading Ashley's. And if we don't want to talk about slavery being a catalyst in the destruction of the Black family unit because we didn't live it, and well, let's talk about the introduction of crack in the Black communities in the 80s. You can't tell me that isn't relatable. Well, we lost Brenton, but
It's good comments. Good
yeah,
commentary.
that's a good comment. I don't really have anything to say to. I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. I mean,
You
I don't
are
think it
really
takes away
tripping.
our personal responsibility right now, but I get what you're saying. I think that
I think
I
it's
know
just
Brenton
kind of
mentioned.
knowing the root of it all.
Yeah, knowing the root, I guess, helps, but I think
It
the whole
doesn't
feminism
justify
thing that
it.
Ben
By
talked
no
about.
means, it does not justify it at all.
Right. Bren, you talked about
But
feminism earlier, right?
I was, yes.
Women's lib and all this kind of stuff, right?
I yeah,
Which
yeah, I want to say this about that, man. At the end of the day, I think it all, like, we don't need to help the system that everybody talking about. We don't need to help slavery by putting each other down. Like, if the best thing you got going for your relationship is to tear people down in your house, uh, do me a favor, keep your mouth closed. You know what I'm saying? She says womanism, whatever it is, ism. It ain't right. So it's not it's not healthy for the family, right? And my thing is, as it relates to that, man, tearing each other down, whether it be your spouse, your kids, it does no good. It has no place, zero. I don't care what. So here it is. Well, that's what my mom and them did. That's what my grandma did, right? Again, it don't matter what they did. How effective was it? Look at you.
right,
You it still ain't helping nobody.
right.
So I think it just doesn't have a place in my morale, in my sphere of morality. It doesn't have a place.
Okay, so Chris said, right, doesn't justify, but it's relative. Black people haven't come from broken homes just because it was okay. But how long do you acknowledge? I mean, we know it, right? So once you know, do you continue to dwell on what you know? I mean, once you know, you know. So now how do we build upon what we know?
Like, we just found out about insurance, right? I mean, listen, I got a partner. I said, hey man, you should get some insurance on your grandmama. And they said, uh-uh. I said, well, why? You trying to help? You trying to create generational wealth, right?
Mhm.
They said no. And it's like, why? Well, I can't speak on why they were afraid of that, but I can't get upset because I've created wealth for mine and I can't spend it. Well, that's that word, selfish, right? But I'm paying that insurance bill. So when we get out of here, they got 1.2, they got 750, right? Whatever, to help, and it should keep going. But nobody ever got started, right? That's just speaking to what we're saying, right? Although we may know we have things in place to help us do better, but we're
Mhm.
not doing that because when we get that extra 300, well, we want to go buy them red bottoms, or we want to go upgrade that 50 inch to a 75 inch. Well, you do something else with that now. So again, we could talk about that all day, but we can read now. They couldn't.
Right.
Right? Right?
This
We
is true.
afforded opportunities that they weren't. So they were more oppressive, but we don't have that same excuse. So slavery has progressed. Like, and I say, oh, maybe that's not the right. It has regressed. So we're not as in bondage as we used to, but we still in bondage like they were. And I'm just saying, we don't have the same struggles as they did. So we gotta do better. That's all I'm getting at.
Right,
She said,
right
no, you
on.
don't. Dead horse.
She said, no, we don't. She said, I mean, we do. I mean, I'm just not a proponent of making excuses forever because we're gonna die at some point. You never know when you're gonna die. So what? I'm gonna keep making excuses about what happened in the past until I turn 70 years old? No, I already understand how it happened. I understand the cause. But guess what? I gotta do something to change my life and for my family and for me. I can't just keep resting on they did this to us, they did that to us. This is why. Okay, I understand it. Now what am I gonna do?
Not everybody knows that though, Lamar. Not
This is
everybody's
true.
aware. Okay. It could just be informative of why. I mean, it's kind of like you don't know how to solve the problem if you don't see the problem. You can't heal if you don't know there's a wound. Okay.
Well, I'm available to be the outside looking in guy.
All right.
If you need some clarity, I can help you.
Well, just shedding some
Right.
light.
Yep.
Yeah, no,
Just
I agree. I feel you. We got to continue this conversation, but it's 9 o'clock.
yes,
I've
sir.
enjoyed this time. We got to do this more often. I'll try to maybe I'll make the Fridays a little deeper rather than just politics and Mondays. I don't know roughly, but I appreciate y'all for coming on. My final thought is Black people are amazing. We're beautiful. We have the capacity to do whatever we want with ourselves and bring ourselves from deplorable situations and live downtown in a high rise and have a beautiful family and have money in the bank, travel when it's not COVID. And we're able to do that and know where we came from and know what our people went through, but overcome. We can be overcomers. What about one of y'all can go?
Stay Black.
Well, that ain't a problem, right?
Stay Black.
uh, my thought, if I could say it to anybody, there's an old saying that if I could help somebody along the way, then my living was not in vain, right? So
Mhm.
help somebody, right? You got to pay for somebody. It ain't about the money. Just help somebody, right? So that you can leave this earth knowing that somebody else will remember something that you've done for them. Because nobody gets nowhere on their own. Whether they inherited it from somebody, or whether somebody educated them about doing better. Somebody helped everybody be successful. So just remember that.
Good stuff. Well, I appreciate y'all. This has been TFG tonight. Miss Producer, take us out this piece.